Despite the strong clamor for them to get together, 911 Season 9 just explained why Buck and Eddie aren't going to be a romantic couple anytime in the near future. There's no denying that Bobby's death has continued to haunt Ryan Murphy's premiere first responder show. Peter Krause's character was the poster boy for 911 throughout its first 8 years on the air. That said, with a new season underway, the ABC show has to move on, no matter how gradual. This is not to say that 911 has to forget Bobby, it just needs to tackle other storylines, including some that have been totally sidelined since the tragedy happened. Before the 118 loss, one of, if not the most compelling long-term arcs in the show is the expectation that Buck and Eddie are developing a romantic relationship. There hasn't been any substantial payoff to this narrative, and 911 Season 9, Episode 5 explains why there won't be for a while. Buck and Eddie are on two very different paths in 911 Season 9. Much has been said about how 911 Season 9's 4-part premiere has kept Buck and Eddie separated. On the heels of Chimney moving up to be the new captain of the 118, some personnel reshuffling was needed. Eddie's return means that he is partnered again with Hen as a paramedic. Meanwhile, Ravi becomes Eddie's new tandem. Regardless, it breaks up Buck and Eddie's duo. Not having that much interaction during an intense period is acceptable, but 911 Season 9, Episode 5 is when things start to settle down for the show, as they go back to their usual format. Interestingly, it's also when it becomes clear that Buck and Eddie are simply on two different paths this year. While Buck deals with the definitive fate of Bobby, Eddie deals with his crisis of faith, and now, additional grief over the death of his abuela. It's clear that none of them are thinking about any romantic pursuits right now. It doesn't mean that it won't happen in the future, but to be able to properly do a romance, it's best if 911 tackles their separate personal arcs first instead of using a non-committal relationship to distract from their individual issues. The risk of delaying Buck and Eddie's much-clamored romance ABC, via Movie Stills DB. Objectively, it would be better for 911 to make sure that when it finally delivers on Buck and Eddie's romance, it would be a satisfying payoff, and that all the waiting is ultimately worth it. When that happens is currently uncertain at this point, but considering all the Buck and Eddie relationship clues in the past, it's safe to say that Murphy and his team are aware of the possibility between them, not to mention the passion that the fans have for it. The risk, however, of waiting too long is that 9-1's future beyond the 2025 to 2026 TV cycle isn't confirmed. While it is still a wildly popular show, being among the most watched offerings on network TV, it's also not outside the realm of possibility that it gets cancelled. If that happens before it is able to deliver on any kind of payoff to Buck and Eddie's relationship, the show's legacy will likely always be tainted by it, especially after the divisive death of Bobby.